Victoria's arrival in the quiet neighborhood was anything but ordinary. From the moment her sleek black car rolled into the cul-de-sac, people couldn't help but notice her. She stepped out wearing oversized sunglasses, a diamond-studded watch that caught the sunlight, and an expression that made it clear she thought she was better than everyone around her. The first week, she made no effort to introduce herself or even smile at her neighbors. While most new residents were eager to build connections, Victoria treated everyone with cold indifference, brushing past them like they didn't exist. When Mrs. Reynolds from across the street welcomed her with a homemade pie, Victoria accepted it with a fake smile, then was overheard mocking the gesture on her phone, calling it so American and outdated. The small community, known for its friendliness, was stunned by her attitude, but many hoped she would soften with time. Instead, she only grew bolder. She parked her expensive car across 2 spaces at the grocery store, carried herself like she was walking on a red carpet, and dismissed casual conversations with a wave of her manicured hand. Whenever anyone mentioned local rules, like trash days or parking restrictions, she rolled her eyes and said, "That's for you people, not for me." Her words stung, not only because they were arrogant, but because she truly believed them. The neighbors began whispering to each other, sharing stories of her behavior, and a sense of unease spread through the street. They had seen rude people before, but never someone so openly convinced that laws and courtesy didn't apply to her. Deep down, everyone wondered the same thing. How far would she go? And what would happen when she finally pushed the wrong person too far? It didn't take long for Victoria's behavior to move from arrogance to open defiance of every rule in the neighborhood. At first, people thought her attitude was just pride, but soon she began proving she truly believed she was untouchable. She parked her car wherever she pleased, sometimes blocking driveways, sometimes right in front of fire hydrant sand. When anyone asked her to move, she laughed in their face. "Call whoever you want," she would sneer. "I don't answer to your small-town rules." Her dogs often ran freely through other people's yards, tearing up gardens and frightening children, while she stood on her porch, sipping wine, pretending not to notice. When the local HOA sent her a polite reminder about leash laws and trash schedules, she tossed the letter in the air, laughing loudly, telling her housekeeper, "These Americans love their little rules, don't they? Not me." But her most outrageous actions came at night. She began hosting wild parties with music so loud the windows of nearby houses rattled. Cars lined the street until neighbors couldn't even park in front of their own homes. Strangers stumbled drunkenly across lawns, and bottles were left broken on sidewalks the next morning. People tried reporting her to the authorities, but she bragged about having powerful friends who would protect her. "I'm not like the rest of you," she told one neighbor who dared to complain. "I'm above this place, and I'm above your laws." Her arrogance was no longer just an annoyance, it was a threat to the peace everyone valued. The community began to realize they weren't dealing with just a difficult neighbor, but with someone who had no limits, someone who believed she could do whatever she wanted without ever facing consequences. The moment that changed everything came on a warm Saturday evening when the Martinez family threw a small backyard birthday party for their 7-year-old daughter. Balloons floated in the air, children laughed while playing tag, and music played softly as parents gathered around the grill. It was the kind of wholesome scene that the neighborhood had always cherished down till Victoria appeared. Without being invited, she marched into the yard wearing high heels and a sparkling dress, demanding a plate of food. At first, the parents thought she was joking, but when she snapped her fingers and told someone to hurry up and serve her, the laughter died. When Mr. Martinez politely asked her to leave, she raised her voice so everyone could hear. "Do you really think you can order me around? I don't follow your silly American customs, and I certainly don't follow your laws." The children froze, watching in confusion as the adults tried to calm the situation. Mrs. Martinez held her daughter close, furious that this woman would ruin such a special day. A teenage guest quietly pulled out his phone and began recording, as Victoria stormed around the yard, insulting the decorations, mocking the food, and calling everyone pathetic. She even pushed past the birthday girl to grab a drink from the cooler, sending the child into tears. That short clip of her tantrum spread like wildfire online before the night was even over. By morning, thousands had watched it, and by the end of the week, the video was everywhere. The entire town and soon the whole country now knew about the woman who thought she was above Americans and their laws. For the first time, Victoria's arrogance was no longer just a neighborhood problem, it had become a public spectacle. The viral video was impossible for Victoria to ignore. Neighbors whispered louder than ever. Reporters appeared at the edge of the street, and soon the police arrived with serious questions. At first, Victoria tried to laugh it off, claiming she was the victim of jealous people who couldn't handle her lifestyle. But the officers weren't interested in her excuses. They had already dug into her history. To the shock of the neighborhood, the investigation revealed years of unpaid traffic fines, ignored court summons, and dozens of official complaints that she had brushed aside. She had even been warned multiple times for reckless driving, but had always walked away, convinced her connections would shield her. This time, there was no shield. One evening, red and blue lights filled the quiet cul-de-sac as patrol cars surrounded her mansion-like house. Neighbors gathered on sidewalks, holding their phones high as officers knocked firmly on her door. When she answered, she wore her usual arrogant smile. But that smile faded the moment she was told she was under arrest. "You can't do this, Aim. Untouchable," she shouted, but the handcuffs clicked anyway, and for the first time, she looked powerless. Children peeked from behind their parents, watching the woman who once mocked them, now escorted to the back of a police car. Some neighbors felt pity, but most felt relief. The reign of chaos was finally ending. For Victoria, who had spent years living as if laws were beneath her, the flashing lights and cold steel cuffs were a brutal reminder that no amount of wealth, pride, or arrogance could erase accountability. Her empire of illusions had collapsed in one night, and the whole world was watching. In the weeks that followed, Victoria's downfall played out like a public show that everyone had been waiting for. Court hearings exposed the long list of violations she had ignored, from unpaid fines to reckless behavior that had endangered others. The judge, unmoved by her attempts to charm or intimidate, handed down heavy penalties, steep fines, community service, and probation that stripped her of the luxury of pretending she was above the law. Reporters, who once swarmed her driveway, eventually left, but the damage to her reputation could never be repaired. The neighbors who had once feared her arrogance now walked freely, enjoying the peace that returned to their street. Children could ride their bikes without worry. Families could gather without disruption, and the sense of community that Victoria had tried to shatter was stronger than ever. She, on the other hand, was forced to sell her grand house to cover her debts, and moved into a much smaller place, far from the spotlight. The woman who once bragged about being untouchable was now living under the same laws she mocked, reminded daily that no one is above accountability. Her story became a lesson whispered in town meetings, classrooms, and conversations across the community. Wealth and pride mean nothing when respect for others is absent. In the end, Victoria didn't just lose her home or her status. She lost the illusion of superiority that had defined her. The neighborhood she once scorned carried on, stronger and more united, while she faded quietly into the background. For everyone who witnessed her rise and fall, the truth was clear. Laws exist for all, and the moment someone convinces themselves otherwise, their downfall is only a matter of time. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and share to spread the message. And make sure to subscribe to The Silent Side USA for more powerful stories every week.